choose. I have to choose. I have to choose between two different things. I have to choose between relative silence while I'm recording or a cool, not hot and muggy environment to work in. And I'm making a sacrifice. It's a warm summer day in Seattle. It's not warm by worldly standards, but in Seattle it's warm. And I have a small air conditioner, and it's preferable to turn it on, but I want to not have playing behind me as I talk. So I'm making the sacrifice for all 6 people that will end up watching this video. You may notice my voice sounds a little bit lower. I think I'm coming down with something, which is why today it will be a triumph of the spirit and my will to make progress despite apparently getting a little bit sick with something. It feels like a cold. I've been coughing a little tiny bit. A little bit tired. But this shit is real. This progress every day shit. Progress every day. It's 94 days in a row, and I'm nowhere near done. And that number is gonna get out to 3 digits real soon. And before it's all over, maybe 4 digits. I don't know. There's a lot of work left to do, and I do get really stubborn about things. Particularly when I feel I'm on the path. By the way, if you didn't know, I'm making a game. It's a game. It's a game for Macintoshes and Windows computers, and maybe later on the Xboxes and the PlayStations, but not the dumb little mobile devices. This game is too large to be constrained and confined. And I want you to be entirely looking at it and giving it your full attention when you're playing. I don't want you to kind of be futzing around with it on your phone while you're on a bus. No, it's not worthwhile on my side to put all this time and effort into a game and have you just be casually involved with it. No, I want my game to consume all of your attention for a period of at least 2 weeks and hopefully 2 years. So, is it worth demoing what I've got today? I think so. And also, I just want to keep to my little format here, which is I start each live coding session with a proper demo. Just a quick little demo of what I did most recently, so you can see it, so you can believe it. You can know for yourself that I am making progress. If you catch the tail end of yesterday's stream, you'll know the depths that I go to. When I'm tired, but still it's not coming together, I stay on extra. Not to make myself into a saint, which is kind of how this is going. Big fucking deal. Lots of people do lots of cool stuff. But this is going to be good. So let's start with a complaint. A sick man is going to make a complaint to Unity about audio clip documentation. I already made one, and then I worked some more with this function, and I discovered more things for me to complain about. And the function in question is called get data, audio clip, get data. Unity search is so bad that it's easier to just go to Google search and just look for it that way. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to, before I make the complaint, I'm going to double check that this is all deficient, as I suspect it is. This is a waste of time. I should spend my time on this. Sample count is determined by length of flow rate. And by the way, this is a primer on the nonsense that I'm getting into on this session. Not nonsense at all, actually. On the peculiar amount of trouble that is generated by a small, what I would call shortcoming of a Unity API. The sample count of what's going to be read from the audio clip is determined by the length of the float array. Now what I did, and there are reasons why I did it, is I passed in a float array that was much larger than what was needed. There are good reasons for doing that. The function gave me a warning that there was not enough data to put into the array. And I'm not willing to accept that as a benign warning, because like anything I see like that, if I go off to a different platform, or if I do a build and start running the editor, if there's any kind of hint of a problem, the risk kind of multiplies as it goes out to different locations. And if I do end up having some other problem, then I'll be with a different cause than this. I'll still be wondering, like, is it this one place where I had a warning? So I'm not willing to do what's probably a benign operation, pass in a larger array than what is needed, and have that warning, because it could lead to some kind of memory access problem or other crashing type error caused by unexpected values passed into this function. Okay, so I kind of am going easier on the documentation now, because I'm thinking they did say that the sample count is determined by the length of the float array. It did say that. So it does kind of imply that you need to pass in an array that's precisely sized. My issue with that is that it makes it so that I have to allocate an array specifically for a call this function, which is not bad in and of itself, but if I have to do it within an update loop, if I have to do it repeatedly while the game is running, if I have to allocate new memory and then release my claim to it repeatedly, then it's gonna fuck up my frame rate at some point with all the garbage collection. So the way that this API is designed, I have to allocate a buffer to pass to it, unless I decide to ignore the warning, which I already decided I'm not going to do that. It's just too fucking risky. So that's forced me, as a good engineer, to move the allocation up to the front of the scene loading, where the audio files are loaded in, and it presents me with another problem. I only needed buffers on that for audio that was meeting a certain case, and the case was that the audio would be interruptible, meaning that the way that events are set up inside of the game, we would expect that audio to be one where we might want to stop it playing right in the middle, which is what this whole get data thing is enabling us to analyze with a clever algorithm that I came up with. Probably any 10 smart engineers looking at it, at least 7 of them would come up with the same solution. But a clever algorithm, nevertheless, like a 30% clever algorithm that I created would analyze the results of this get data call and decide where exactly we're going to interrupt the audio. So if I move this analysis to load time, the next problem I have is that I'm creating an extra buffer of samples for every single audio file. So whatever my in-memory budget is for the audio files, and I do want to include a lot of them, in each scene. I've effectively doubled it. Doubled it, yeah. It might be a little bit under doubling, but the bulk of the audio clip memory usage would have to come from the samples. And I have to assume that they're not stored any more or less efficiently than an array of floats. So I have to double it, unless I pre-analyze the audio samples and generate kind of a smaller data structure. And that's what I think I'm going to do. So I'm going to say take every audio file that's loaded in for one scene. I'm going to run this RMS calculation, which I came up with yesterday, over 2,000 samples or so, chunks, and return a single loudness value that represents about 2,000 samples. 2,000 samples is, in my case, close to 1/20th of a second. I identified that last night with some semi-careful thought as a practical chunk size. So the algorithm. Oh man, all this explanation, and I meant to do a demo. Let me do a demo real quick. It will kind of make clear some of the stuff I've been talking about. I'm a sick boy. Can't keep sick boy from his project though. I even thought this out in advance. Like, there's gonna be some day when I got like the flu or stomach poisoning, and I have like a small set of tasks, and this is almost, it's getting like religious at this point, or OCD. I have a small set of tasks where even on a sick bed, I could go and do that one little task, and I can say, I made progress. I did a little bit of work today. The standard, by the way, is not to do work every day. The standard is to make progress every day. Okay, so character walks through here. I contrived two pieces of audio. One is the line, which is, we'll call it the spiel line. It's a little bit long on purpose, contrived that way. And then there's the interrupting line, which is supposed to interrupt the spiel right in the middle.
Shut the fuck up.
That's the interrupting line.
That's so many things to say to you. I hear...
So
shut the fuck up.
What happens is that the spiel line is analyzed for the best place in it to interrupt, and there's some logic in it that I won't re-explain, but it's just a little bit clever, just a little bit, and it works. So it picks a good point to interrupt the line. That's what it does. So that analysis that's done on the samples to come up with that interruption point, I can do most of it. I can do the bulk of it at load time, store the results, and then I don't need to get the sample data later on. I don't need to call that API, which is going to force me to tank my frame rate because it was a poorly designed API. Bad Unity developer somewhere. Bad.
That's so many things to say to you. I hear going, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So this is Unity devs. Every single API that you make, every single one, you should be evaluating it for, is it easily usable without allocating memory to call it. If it requires you to allocate memory to call it, you failed. And you know you failed because it's a standard practice for performance in all Unity projects to avoid allocating memory inside of the game loop. Some people take it further, and they have like like a seamless level loading type of a thing. They'll get all the memory allocated at the beginning of the game, and they'll have buffers set up to as you move into different level areas and stuff to minimize the allocation. So any Unity API that requires you to allocate memory at that time per call, no chance of like pre-allocating some structure ahead of time that would be reusable from a pool. That's a fail. Now, if that you can make a simple change to that get data API. You could say, we'll take any buffer sufficient in size to hold the number of samples. Then you're good. Then I can allocate all that memory on a pool like I did in good engineer fashion, and I can reuse that inside of a game loop. But you cut me off from doing that, so now I've got an extra 2 to 3 hours of work, and it's not an optimal solution. The one that I'm coming up with, it's not the best solution. You forced me to do it that way, and just because of one little shortcoming of an API that could have easily been avoided. Okay. I think my rants get larger when I'm sicker. So I've got some code somewhere to load. That's right. Speech loader. After that big stupid rant, this is the problem with like nobody to answer you on your rants. You can say something just stupid as fuck, and so it's your god of your own quiet little world, and there's nobody to answer you. You just feel triumphant, and there's something you overlooked, something somebody knows that you don't. It's almost always this way too, and then either you'll never know it, and you just continue feeling like you're the triumphant king of truth, or you will learn someday, and it'll be like, yeah, there's another API, Eric. It's called Get Audio Unbounded Buffer or something like that. You just need to call it other API, and that should meet your needs. Thank you for using Unity. And then you feel like an asshole, and I am an asshole. At least when nobody is there to check me, and I'm just here like the madness of King George style, saying whatever comes into my head. Take everything I said with a grain of salt. Persistent audio get. I think that's what was loading it. If I want, or it could come from the asset bundle. I want like a containing structure. Let me see. What will I call it? Let me do a little design. This session is going to get bad, I can tell already. Because I'm so stubborn about finishing this particular thing, but I already feel like shit. So it's going to get ugly. It's going to get like, my eyes are going to be streaming. Oh, it's warm in here because I turned off the AC. It was a public service. It's going to get bad. It's going to be so bad. Okay, audio clip. I could call it not audio clip. I could call it GK audio clip. I hate that kind of prefixing though. If we just call it clip, be good enough. It also has to be short. Did I already use that? I think I already used it though. Did I use it inside of I did. So that's a little confusing. I call it speech clip. That's actually perfect. Speech clip because it contains speech. It's not just an audio clip. and speech clips are what need the extra stuff that I'm talking about. So speech clip contains audio clip, and it contains RMS entries. Just say that for now. It's just design. I don't have to get exactly perfect yet. Okay. Speech loader. Get clip. Get the clip from either the bundle or persistent storage. During development, it's much easier to use persistent storage in the bundle. And bundle, you have to do a little build thing. It's kind of a pain. So for faster turnaround on changes to audio, persistent storage. Okay, so I'll set the audio clip from that, and then I want to call, and I think I'll move this code out to a different function. Let's call it RMS. Call function to get RMS chunks. Yeah. Okay. This other thing. We call it like a sample util. Maybe for operations performed on samples. Get RMS values. Chunk size, and then it's going to return float, bam. The RMS chunk size is a constant defined somewhere. It's also going to take the sample buffer, which is a bunch of floats. Okay, so RMSs, they're just an average of like a section of the samples. It's an average volume over that section. It would be nice to put this in here because I think I can also later on improve the WAV-SAV code that I got from a heroic guy named Calvin Reen, who contributed this great code, this nice simple one file source code for reading in or saving WAV files. So he had a trim sample or a trim audio function, and it was just going by sample value. I believe it would work better if it used RMS values over chunks. So refactoring this into a function like that might let me make the trim function a little bit better. Okay, so this is going to be calling sample util get RMS values. Okay. And then inside of, so the speech loader get clip will return a speech clip now instead of an audio clip. Okay, inside of my speech module or class, this isn't JavaScript. Speech is like the top level module for getting characters to say things. So silence all. When finding interruption point, we'll use RMS values. instead. And there might be some other functions that get refactored up in the sample util. All the better. So let me start with sample util. It might potentially be more general than dialogue, so I'll stick it in audio. That moment when you know that you really are going to get sick. It's like no avoiding it. That moment. God killer sample util. And I'll make it my favorite kind of class. A static class. Okay. Let's see. What was I doing over here? Speech loader. Okay, so I was going to do something like that. And I wrote the code for this yesterday. It's already in here. Yeah. Yank it. Stick it in here. Where does math IO come from? Where does it come from? I forgot. Don't tell me it comes from Unity Engine. I don't like that. Is it Unity Engine? I just don't like that. It's like a basic general thing. It should come from the runtime. Okay. Whatever. So we will assume the sample buffer is the entirety of the samples. And then we're going to just go from beginning to end. So let's see. Yeah, let's get the chunk count. Sample buffer length divided by chunk size. That's the problem. I'm trying to avoid where the last chunk is truncated. Say you had 10 samples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So your chunk size was 4. Here's your first chunk. Here's your second chunk. Here's your third chunk. Well, that third chunk is kind of fucked. So I'm going to modify my algorithm a little bit. I did something like this with the catenary curves. I'm going to find the best chunk size that's evenly divisible, that produces the same number of chunks as the original chunk size would have produced. Is there? Okay, so that's the chunk count I want. And I'll say that I'll call this ideal chunk size. And I'll say the actual chunk size I'm going to use is going to be and this might end up, because I'm rounding down, it might end up losing like a handful of samples at the end. I'm just gonna say it's good enough. I mean, this is already a pretty good effort, I think. I could have just RMS'd that last little tidbit at the end and said fuck it there, and had some non-representative RMSs. This is better. So now that I know my chunk count, I can allocate my array that will return chunks. It will blow chunks. So it occurs to me that I will need to have chunk sizes be part of the speech clip, so because it'll be necessary to map time and samples to these RMS chunks. So let's say out int chunk size. And I like to have my outs and refs at the end. So let's do that. Okay. So let me think about this. Will this tend to shorten my chunk size a little bit or lengthen it? I think it will shorten it a little bit. So in this case, we would have said there's going to be 3 chunks. So let's divide 10 by 3. And the new chunk size would have been 3, so it would go and the 10th sample would have been omitted. Okay, let me just see if I can find a more extreme case. I mean, it probably gets worse with lower samples. Say, I mean, if I have 100 samples, then this is going to be 33 in the first chunk, and then another 33, another 33, and one little piddly sample left over. So the more samples I get, the less I have to worry about this little extra lopped off thing, and actually my sample counts are going to be in the hundreds of thousands. So not worry about that. Okay. Chunks I equals calc RMS some samples. And let's see, it's going to be I times. I might just do a tiny bit of premature optimization here. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. And I think it's a good idea to require this passing in of the sample buffer. I was thinking of encapsulating in here, like you can pass an audio clip and it'll get the samples and do this whole thing. But because I've identified that as a operation that can end up allocating a bunch of stuff and causing garbage collection nonsense. I think I'm going to force the caller to pass in the sample buffer so that the caller, who's going to be me one of these days, trying to get something done in a hurry, to think about that extra allocation that has to be made. So that's how I'll design that. Okay, so this should be functioning code. I really got to blow my nose. I'm going to go grab a wad and come right back. I will just say that in all my years, I've never found Kleenex to be better for blowing your nose than toilet paper. I think it's just a conspiracy to sell us two things when one thing would do. And also people are weirded out by it being toilet paper, and they don't need to be. It's just paper. So blow your nose with toilet paper and just be happy. This has been another Stupid Man rant. Okay, so that should work. I feel confident about that. Back to speech loader. This is kind of like my base of thought here. Sample util, done. Just take it out. Okay. Get clip, that would be the next thing. Or I'll define the speech clip thing. That's an easy one. So this is part of dialogue. It is specific to dialogue. So let's add that in here. I love all these classes that are blooming in this directory, which represent a proper system, a way of playing audio specific to speech and characters. And there are some innovations in this directory. There are just some ideas that came up with independently that I just wasn't smart enough to find where somebody else did the same thing already. So this is a speech clip, and it's a simple one. It's a simple one. It just needs a few things. Do I want to keep calling them chunks? Those RMS values. Values is sort of like the lamest name to give a variable. Because anything in a variable is a value. It just sounds like you're trying to be more officious about it. But RMSs? I even forget what RMS stands for. I guess the value does indicate that it's a single thing. It's a single, kind of like an integer or a float or something like that. So it helps a little bit. It means something. Okay. Public int. Yeah, I'm going to call them chunks. Okay. I'm going to make a little note to myself. Chunks may not fully cover all samples in the audio clip. This is due to algorithm avoiding small chunks. I'm just a little warning to myself, so I have to remember later on, and hopefully I'll just have this neatly encapsulated at some point, and I'll stop worrying about it or thinking about it. Okay, but we'll make a little note here too. Get RMS values corresponding to sections, chunks of samples. Thinking about how to neatly encapsulate this. I think I may end up putting some more utility methods in here to do things like access the chunk corresponding to a certain time within buffer, stuff like that. I'll encapsulate it neatly someplace. Just wanted to not lose sight of my reasoning. Was I done with the speech clip? I was. Okay, so speech loader. stuff here is, it's like a little, let me put it inside of a function. Keep my if pound if simpler. Call this load clip. File name. This becomes speech clip. And I can say let's do it this way. Speech clip. Not, I always want to say if not the value to check for null, but I can't do that. I have to explicitly check. Stop it. If speech clip, I got null, just return it as is. We're done. But if I actually got the audio clip, then it's time. Get me some samples. But then I gotta think again. How is get clip called? Because the naming of it implies that it's just ready to be called by anybody that wants to use it, and that's not really the type of function I was thinking it was going to be. Let me just add a quick to do here so I don't forget where I was. Maybe it was supposed to be for loading stuff. Hold on, who's calling get clip? That's what I need to know. Okay, so it might load it right there. Which I don't like. I thought I had a solution to preload. I thought. Oh, maybe it's in persistent audio that it has got. Yeah, in persistent audio, it's got this stuff here to go and. Okay, now it gets a little messy. This persistent audio is like the kind of the during development way of dealing with audio files. And I've got a little lookup table in here, and I've got some code that loads everything at the beginning, but there's some extra work I want to do, And all that code for loading up the files at the beginning is not there for the bundle. So I'm kind of left with a little bit of a conundrum of where to put this extra code that's going to get the RMS values and do some buffering. So I thought it was going to be in that neat and tidy place where I was just at, but then I realized, and this was the helpful thing about my naming conventions, that it's not a load function. It will load if something's not loaded, but it's a in-game access function, or after the game is started, it's meant to be used at that point. So I want something at load time. So I got to think about how I've got this structured. So either of these calls, as it currently stands, could get cache data from either the asset, which was already loaded, or the persistent audio, which was already loaded. So this is not a load time function. So what I want to do is inside of persistent audio, I think I want to refactor that dictionary into something that's shared by both methods of loading something, of loading an audio file in. All of this work right now is because of one tiny little, easily avoidable shortcoming of one Unity API. That's all this work I'm doing now, this refactoring. Okay, so let me go back. I've got this like halfway finished, but it's wrong. So let me just see if I can put it back without screwing something up. Or I can also just kind of put it back like this, or I can make a get clip. I'll change this to get clip so I'm not confused about it loading something right then. And let's say return. And that returns me to status quo with maybe slightly nicer code. Okay. So let me think about getting this code into load time. It was incorrect for me to put it here. I think move move the dictionary of clips into speech loader. There's one thing I hate about that though. Let me just, this is a case where I want to lay out some different options. Option number one. When persistent audio is loaded, pass dictionary to it. Let's see, this would all be in load for level. There it is. That's the loading thing. And load for level. What are we doing? When the persistent audio is loaded, we pass the dictionary to it, it populates it. So then when bundle is loaded, need to enumerate all assets inside of it and add dictionary. That would be new code to write. For all of the audio in the dictionary, calc RMSs. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Okay, number 2. Keep the persistent audio dictionary where it is. This is like a garbage solution. Let me just cut past this. I am thinking of another one, and this one might be the easiest one of all. So we still have the dictionary of clips and speech loader. In load level. Okay, then the difference is I don't go through and allocate all those buffers right away. Instead, as soon as get clip is called, if no RMS data for the clip, alloc and no, it's different than that. We say if clip not in dictionary, add it. If no RMS data for the clip, we allocate and okay, we allocate for sample data, but we don't let go of it right away. That's the key thing. That's the key thing. I'm gonna wait to the scene unload to get rid of it. It's okay to allocate. it's when you let go of memory that it triggers garbage collection. I could even do better than this. Okay, so we say if the clip is not in the dictionary, we add it at that time. No RMS data yet. Okay? So in speech, if silence all or other operation needs the RMS, get the sample data, alloc, associate with speech clip, calc RMS, and that's it. That's probably what I want to do, and it actually is an improvement over the first way I was going to do it. So that should let me avoid garbage collection until the scene unloads, and it will avoid unnecessary work in allocation, because before I was going to process for every single clip, even ones that don't need to be interrupted, and I was going to allocate structures for that and do the calculation on the samples for all of them. I don't need to if with this method. This is the winner right here. So number one dies. It's not as good. Now I'm getting confused. What's this? Oh, this is my old notes about what I need to do next. It's alright. I'll internalize that at this point. Okay. So speech loader, it gets a dictionary. It's going to be a dictionary with a key of a string, a file name that goes to a speech clip. Okay. Then what else do I say? So let's do this. Load for low. So this thing here, it needs all that stuff, and it also needs a dictionary. Okay. I'll go fix that. Oh, fucking coroutines. I forgot about that. Do I have something to check for loading? I do. God, this async stuff is a pain in the ass. I understand why we have it, but it's still a pain. So I had all of that encapsulated inside of here. But maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's just I can let it trickle down. I can let it trickle down. I don't have to move the dictionary out of here. It's not hurting anything to be in here twice. The other way to do it is I can pass in this dictionary at load time. And just the expectation will be that all that stuff's going to come trickling in as it loads. And then if I want to at some point check if it's still loading, actually all the logic is already there for that. So I'm actually okay. I'm actually okay to replace the dictionary with one passed in. Okay, so let me go. Let me just add a check here. I'll say if loading count greater than 0. Just want a big obvious error. Called load while still loading. Because there's no way I'll have a good situation with that. Okay, so the thing I'm passing in is dictionary, string, and speech clip, speech clips, and then I want to set this speech clips equals speech clips. Okay. Up here, there's already something like that, but it's not quite what I want. I think I can just move this over to here. Huh. Okay. Get rid of this guy. This becomes speech clip. And actually, I don't want it to be allocated here because it's going to get set by load. In fact, I want to not be confused by that letter. Set by load. So. Now, I might do something where I take these out. No, let's leave them for now. I think they're fine. They're not hurting anything. Okay. So then come back to here. So if if I call persistent audio load, it's going to populate this little cache here with all the audio clip references. It's going to load them all at that point. If I got persistent audio to load for the scene, it'll load it. It's also going to try to load the level asset bundle. Basically, there'll be a bundle with the same name as the scene that it will try to load by default. In that case, it's not going to populate the dictionary. I suppose I could, if it made sense, populate the dictionary with everything inside the asset bundle. Let me just put a to-do here. Consider populating speech clips with contents of bundle. But I don't need to. I don't need to. So this does become not that one. This one becomes speech clip. And we get to say if speech what? Oh, because I'm static. Okay, I know. So that needs to be static. So try to get a value. Just try. Try it. File name, and then out speech clip. Or I can say that is what I get, and I just return it. Otherwise, I will assume I need to create a new speech clip. Or, yeah. What? Just some kind of... Oh, I know what it is. I can't do it. Okay, now what? There it goes. Alright. So... I should get the clip. Still not calculating RMS for it yet. That's fine. And all this stuff. Done all that. Now, you can almost find the changes left over just by compiling and going straight to the syntax errors. I'm going to do that. That's always fun. It will error inside of speech. Yes, it did. Okay. Huh. Okay. Instead of making this an audio clip, I want it to be a speech clip. Okay, so then that means change this. Did I fix that right? I did not. Darn. Cool, now I'm getting down to the real meat of it. So I want to allocate the sample buffer inside of the speech clip. So we'll do So you know, I don't really need to do this kind of storage here. Let me check out the code. Let me see if I want to keep that or not. I can put the samples in there. So here's a way I can do it. I can give it a really gross name. Alloc and set samples. That in fact I'll just call it allocate. And that name will warn me that I'm allocating, I'm making an allocation. Pass in audio clip. Normally I kind of like to keep these classes just a straight data class, but this is a good thing to encapsulate. Okay, so samples equals new. Oh, let me call this something more consistent with what I've called it elsewhere, sample buffer. Sample buffer. And then we say audio clip, get the fucking data. Get it. Just get it already. The sample buffer. And the offset's going to be 0. I'm just going to get them all. I'm just going to get them all. I'm going to try to be clever and get some of them for a certain case. Just get them all. Get them all. Get them all. So allocate and set samples. Do it as needed. And that name will warn me of what I'm doing. Let's see, so what am I? The speech event, speech clip. Okay, and set samples from the audio clip. Now, since I already know that it's going to be the same audio clip that's used with the speech event, I can yank this. And I'll make the name a little bit better. Yeah. Okay. I get to delete this now. Now there's some logic inside of here that has to be changed. I might get rid of this one here. I think, yeah, let's just get rid of it. So that code worked fine before, how I had it when I was just calling this. It's simpler, it doesn't allocate any extra stuff inside of it. So let's call it sample util. Let's go to speech clip and remove this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to have I start at the offset now instead of at 0, because before I was copying from the offset so that the buffer only contained the amount I wanted. This get data thing I can take out. So I'm already doing it inside of the buff function call. Sample count. How's that used? Okay, so this is different. It's going to be Oh. This little minus RMS chunk samples thing is what keeps it from using a tiny chunk. This algorithm is a little worse in that it will drop more samples off the end from evaluation, but in the context of this particular operations performed by this function, it doesn't matter that much, because it's saying basically we're going to let the interruption point be after the end. So a really small impact in not evaluating the RMS of the last little bit of samples there. Really small. It would not be noticeable. It would be less than 1/20th of a second. Impossible for it to be noticeable, pretty much. Okay, some other code down here. So I take out that. Okay. Oh, there's a lot of code changes. I'm still doing pretty good for time. I'm just not doing very good for brain. Because I am a sick boy. So I gotta get this going, just because I'll get sloppier, and my ability to write correct code is gonna be diminished even further than what it is now. So let's just see if it builds. Why am I starting to talk like an Irishman? Is that what happens when I get sick? I become an Irishman? What's that? What? What? Because it's static? Wait a minute, where? No, I just didn't see a ref over here. Say ref and I should be good. We good? We good? Try again. Okay. Going to compile now, which is a nice minor achievement. Now, there's too much new code here to just hit play. I gotta step through, which may be the most boring part for some people, or the most annoying part with me talking through it. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna try a quiet walkthrough. See if that's not better for your sanity and mine. So breakpoints I'm interested in. Here. And in speech loader, I'd like to know what's going on at load time. I think here. And I'd like to see one successful get clip go through. Let's do all that. Back at Unity land. Gonna do save. Just in case I forgot something. So this is a pretty nice compromise, I think. The design I came up with. So it should not trigger garbage collection until the scene ends. It's not going to load. It's not going to load samples more than are needed. It will retain the buffers for the samples longer than it's needed, meaning like if we were short on memory and in an environment, what are you doing? Just come on. If we were short of memory in an environment, it would be retaining that extra buffer when it's not needed. But I need to retain that buffer to avoid the garbage collection. At least I need to retain it until the end of the scene, when the scene unloads. Okay, can I save my project? And why doesn't Unity have a save all? Why can't I just have a save all and do save project and scene simultaneously? Okay. Oh. I'm going under. Don't anybody say I'm not serious about this when I'm coding while I'm sick. Writing the code while I'm sick. Very important to do that. Okay, let me just go up out of here. Okay, so it it's fine so far. Let me hit play. And let's see where it goes next. Is it just gonna go to gameplay? It might do that. I think I need to trigger some event for it to do the rest of the code execution. Okay. Cool. Okay, file name. As expected. Should get the speech clip. It's from persistent, and I loaded everything from persistent into storage, and there was a is loading check at some point that said we're not going to try to get any clips until it's all loaded. Good. Very good.
So many things to say to you. I could go on forever and ever. Shut the fuck up. I have so many things to say to you. I could go on forever and ever.
Okay. So here's the last part of the code, which might be working just fine. Kind of curious what the structure looks like. Okay, I've got a sample buffer that's allocated. I don't know why the sample buffer is allocated right now. Oh, and the speech event. I need to take that logic out of the speech event. Okay. I got it. So this is still incorrect because I still got this holdover from the last solution. I mean, this might work, but it shouldn't. Or it's not the right way. Okay, so I set that. Yeah, so this is gonna not do well. Let's hit play. I hope it doesn't crash. And good way.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you shut the fuck up, you dirty bar. Alright. Unplay. Speech events. You don't get a buffer anymore. You don't get a sample buffer. You do not get. Okay. Reopen Unity. Okay, speech events. God damn it. Speech events. Thing I asked for happened. God damn it. I know what I want to do. I'm just waiting for my fucking system to allow me to do it. Jesus. Everything crashing. Okay. What's this about? I don't even know what the auto property is, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But I just, no time to mess around with that. Okay, so let me just build, because I did a thing that will show me every place that needs a change. I took out the buffer that I don't want to be used. Okay, so just one error. Why don't I let's see, I'll go to speech event. Speech clip. Buffer, that should do it. Alright. Hold on. Alright. See how Unity's doing. No, I'm not going to report a bug because I'd have to upload my entire project to you. That's unreasonable. Okay. Start debugging again. Alright, let's see it. Let's hear it. Oh, I want to stop coding, but I can't. I have to get my progress. My little progress fix. I gotta move forward. And it can't be like some wishy-washy half-done task. It's gotta feel like a task was completed. If you've ever seen Rick and Morty and the Meeseeks, it's like that. I cannot cease to exist for my day until I've completed a small task. to completion. I can't just try at it. It has to be. It has to be completed. Or I sit here like a meeseeks.
So many things to say to you.
Getting more and more upset, more and more ragged. Very disturbed. The whole nature of my existence relies upon me completing small tasks.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
So many things to say. Shut the fuck up.
Well, okay. I heard it perform the interruption. I just wonder why I didn't get a break point.
So many things to say to you. I could go on forever and ever.
Okay. Okay. And why didn't I get... Why did I not get breakpoint the first time? I could have returned to here. Alright, I'm gonna step through it anyways. Could have returned here. Actually, this code can get deleted. Surely it can. Yeah, that code I get to delete. That'll be nice. Make myself a note without actually deleting it, because that will change the line positioning, which will make my debugger alignment be off. If I just add a little comment, I can come back to it. Okay. This one would be off. The sample count. Is that what I want? It's not. That's screwed up. So this needs to be audio clip samples. Where else is this used? Nowhere. Nowhere. So it's another bit of code I get to delete. Delete. But I must keep on stepping through, even though I have 2 changes I can make. Because so far it should still work. So it's going to pick the minimum between 6106 and this one, which is wrong. So it's probably going to stop a little short here. Okay, so that will take a long time. Okay, I think that basically worked, but let me, so I didn't see any logical errors in it at that point. So other than that weird thing about it missing the breakpoint the first time. So let me just unplay and get rid of my deletes and make my corrections. Let me see. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Piece of shit. Which is probably my fault. Should not rant. Oh, God. Crash Unity again. And that is one thing that on my off-stream time I'm going to get further into. I've got a number of things that I want to check. Are you reopening, please? I got shit to do. Come on. Come on. Just load. Fucking load. I'm sick, man. I'm sick. Just load for me. I just got a little bit left to test with you. You gotta hold up your end of the deal. You gotta just stand up and be a development environment. Editor. A place where I can play my game and test it out. That's all you gotta do for me. Just do it. So I'm going to try an upgrade. I already went through the editor logs. I don't see like anything that's obvious. There is one little error that pops up in a third-party package, that Pro Builder, that I might get a little bit deeper into. I could post on Unity answers about it. I haven't seen anybody else have it resolved, but I think I'll do a Unity upgrade first, because any kind of bug reporting stuff should always be accompanied by a update to the latest version of the software, because they want to fix the bug, and if they didn't, still people that might look at it will want to know that you're using the latest and greatest. Alright, let's just play it. I expect it's going to work. And then after that, if I come up dry, I can do kind of like create a new, it's sort of like a binary search where I disable some of the functionality, like that where the problem might be in it, where the problem might be contained, and see if it fixes it. Oh, I got the whole maximize on play thing. Undo that. Okay.
So many things to schedule. I could go on forever and ever.
And basically, I can narrow it down by just making a copy of my scene and deleting shit, and just do a lot of trial and error to narrow it down.
Shut the fuck up. There's so many things to schedule.
Worked.
Shut the fuck up. There's so many things.
Works.
Shut the fuck up. There's so many things to schedule. I could go on forever.
Works.
Shut the fuck up.
Done. Done. Sick. Must stop. Jesus. This should have been a lot easier. And there you go again. Ignore it. Don't report a bug. We don't want to upload my whole project. Done. Did what I said I was gonna do while I was sick, because I'm a grim engine of determination and pain. Pain gets me through it. No, not really. I'm joy and lightness and pain. I'm a mixture of it all. I'm on a mission. Must finish. Okay, I'm not gonna do the git commit right now. I'm toast. I gotta stop. I gotta stop the stream. I hope I'm a little bit better shape tomorrow, but I will be back here tomorrow. Even if I just do one token little task. Okay, stopping the stream now.